Welcome to Diamonds and Dumpster Fires, the show where we talk about finding strength when life falls apart. I'm your host, Melly, and around here, resilience isn't perfection. It's falling flat, getting back up, and maybe laughing about it later. From breakups to breakthroughs, we mix faith, neuroscience, and a little sass to help you rebuild a life that actually feels like yours. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello, friends, and welcome back to Diamonds and Dumpster Fires, the podcast where we find hope and humor when life doesn't go as planned, and sometimes when life literally floods your living room. Yes, you heard that right. This week, we are talking about what happens when the unexpected happens. And, as it happens to be in my case, it involved a whole lot of water, a very loud set of industrial blowers, and the sudden realization that my living room was about to become part of an unplanned home renovation. So here's what happened. The contractor working next door accidentally broke the fire sprinkler system. I don't know exactly how he broke the fire sprinkler system. I imagine it involved either a lot of force or a moment of, oops, that probably wasn't supposed to snap like that. But whatever the case may be, the sprinklers went off next door and that water needed somewhere to go. And guess where it went? Right into my living room. It was like my home decided to audition for the role of indoor water park, except without the fun or the lazy river. And here's the extra funny part, if you can even call it that. The night before this happened, I was having dinner with a friend, and we somehow ended up in a conversation about, you guessed it, fire sprinkler systems. We were talking about how much destruction they could cause in a very short amount of time, not realizing that in less than 24 hours, I was going to get a very real and very soggy firsthand demonstration. I guess you could call that an RAS moment. The reticular activating system is that part of your brain that starts noticing things you've been thinking or talking about. Usually it's something like seeing your dream car everywhere. But in my case, my brain apparently said, you want to notice sprinklers? Okay, I've got you covered. Now, the damage itself is bad enough. But here's what I didn't expect to hit me so hard. The loss of my space. The constant intrusion of workers into my home. The never-ending high-decibel roar of industrial blowers. And if you're a noise-sensitive neurodivergent person like I am, you know that constant noise is not just annoying, it's actually exhausting. It's like my brain is always on high alert, and there's no way to get a moment of real peace. Here's the thing, though. I've been surprisingly okay. Certainly not, yay, my living room is a slip and slide now okay. But the kind of okay where I can see that my past work on resilience is really paying off. And I think there are a few reasons for that. First, I've learned how to pause before I react. My old self might have gone into full meltdown crisis mode. But now, I stop, I breathe, and I tell myself, okay, this is happening. What's my next step? Second, I'm leaning on the truth that God knew this was going to happen before I did. Psalm 46:1 says, God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. He doesn't promise we'll never face trouble. He promises to be present in it. And there have been plenty of moments this week where I've prayed, God, this feels so incredibly overwhelming, but I know you've got this, and I know you've got me. That has been my anchor when the noise and disruption start to feel like too much. And third, I cannot forget the ADHD twist. A lot of us with ADHD are actually really good in a crisis. Something about the adrenaline, the need for fast action, the let's just deal with the thing right in front of me, it can bring out our focus and our problem-solving skills. Long-term planning, sure, we can get overwhelmed. But a sudden flood, we can kick into action mode like it's our superpower. And in those moments, I see how God wired me, even the parts I sometimes struggle with, to be useful in certain situations. Now, before I jump into some takeaways for you, I just want to share what I've noticed about myself in real time this week. I realized that the very things that I have been talking about on this podcast, pausing, trusting God, looking for the small next step, those aren't just podcast points. They've become habits for me. And I didn't even fully realize that until I was standing in my living room with water coming in and fans blasting like a small airport had moved in. Here's the other thing I've learned. When you've already been through hard seasons, you know you can get through hard things, even if you don't like them. That's a huge part of resilience. It's not just the big strength you pull out when life falls apart. It's the everyday trust that says, okay, God, I've seen you carry me before, so I know you can carry me now. And honestly, that shift doesn't happen overnight. But every little choice to pause instead of panic, to pray instead of spiral, to laugh instead of lose it, those are like deposits in your resilience bank. So, when the flood comes, either literally or figuratively, you have something to draw from. So, with that in mind, here are a few practical things I've been doing this week that might help you if your life feels a little waterlogged too. Number 1 is pause before reacting. Even 30 seconds of stillness before you act can save you hours of spiraling later. The first thing I did when I saw water coming through the wall into my living room was to just stop and breathe. And then I made my first call. Number 2 was focus on the next small step. I didn't try to solve the entire restoration process at once. Step 1 was get my stuff out of the water. Step 2 is I made the important calls and sent the important emails that I needed to. Step 3 was to breathe. Breaking it into small, doable steps kept me from feeling buried under the whole situation. Number 3 is know when you need a break and take it. Resilience isn't just pushing through. It's knowing when to step away so you don't burn out in the middle of the crisis. I took a half day at work, for example, this week so I could get away from the noise and the mess for a few hours. I also said no to super early morning start times for restoration because I knew I'd need quiet time to myself before the chaos began again. This is something that God models for us even in creation. He worked for 6 days and then rested on the 7th. Rest isn't weakness, it's obedience and wisdom, and sometimes that rest is the very thing that gives you the strength to keep going. And number 4, find even the tiniest silver lining. Not toxic positivity, I mean just keeping yourself afloat. So in my case, I've been joking that at least my living room is getting an unplanned deep clean. Humor doesn't erase the problem, so please don't hear what I'm saying and think that I'm suggesting that humor is just going to fix everything. Absolutely not. But it does help take the edge off, and it has helped me personally keep from sliding into a negative spiral. So here's what I want you to remember. Resilience doesn't mean you're unshakable. It means you bend, but you don't break. It means you trust God with the chaos, even when it's loud, wet, and smells faintly of construction dust. And maybe, just maybe, it means that the next time life soaks your plans, whether through a broken sprinkler or a broken expectation, you're able to say, okay, this isn't at all what I wanted, but I can handle it. Because, friend, you can. And even better, God has got this. So that's it for today's short episode. If you found this helpful or you've got your own life flooded my living room story, I'd love to hear it. You can DM me on Instagram at Melly Williams. And if you enjoyed today's episode, it would mean the world if you left a quick review. So until next time, keep finding those diamonds, even in the dumpster fires. If this episode hit home, you are going to love my GEM framework. It's my go-to guide for getting grounded, elevating your mindset, and moving forward with purpose. You can download it for free at diamondsindumpsterfires.com/GEM. That's GEM. And start turning your dumpster fires into something that sparkles.